Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Endeavour, Earth's most advanced exploratory vessel, as it approached the massive crystalline structure that had appeared at the edge of the Sol system. The structure had materialized 3 days ago, its sudden appearance sending waves of excitement and fear through Earth's united governments. "Energy readings are stable, Captain," reported Dr. Raj Patel, the ship's chief scientist. His dark eyes remained fixed on the holographic displays floating before him. "The structure appears to be some kind of faster-than-light communications relay. It's beckoning us." Sarah's fingers tightened imperceptibly on the command chair's armrest. 20 years of space exploration had taught her that the universe rarely offered gifts without conditions. Security status. Defense screens at maximum. Lieutenant Maria Santos confirmed from her tactical station. But whatever this thing is, it's not showing any aggressive signatures. The crystalline structure pulsed with a soft blue light, seeming to ripple like water in moonlight. As they watched, a beam of light emerged from its center, coalescing into a holographic projection that filled the bridge. The image showed a diverse group of alien beings, each more extraordinary than the last. "Greetings, people of Earth," spoke a tall, ethereal being with silvery skin and multifaceted eyes. "I am Ambassador Nexus of the Galactic Concordat. We have been watching your civilization's progress with great interest." Sarah exchanged glances with her first officer, Commander David Chen, no relation. They had prepared for this moment, but the reality of first contact still sent chills down her spine. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth spaceship Endeavour," she responded, keeping her voice steady. "We are honored to make your acquaintance." "The honor is ours," Nexus replied, his expression shifting in ways that Sarah's human brain struggled to interpret. "Your species has shown remarkable potential. We would like to invite Earth to join our community of advanced civilizations." Over the next few hours, Nexus explained the structure of the Concordat, a federation of over 30 spacefaring species dedicated to peaceful cooperation and technological advancement. Their offer seemed generous. Technological exchange, cultural sharing, and protection under the Concordat's defensive umbrella. But Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's xenoanthropologist, noticed something odd in the way Nexus spoke about guided development and protected growth. During a private moment, she pulled Sarah aside. "Captain, something feels off," Elena whispered, her brow furrowed. "The way they describe their relationship with newer species, it's reminiscent of historical patterns of technological colonialism. Benevolent on the surface, but with underlying control mechanisms." Sarah nodded slowly. She'd had similar thoughts but hadn't wanted to voice them yet. "Keep analyzing their communications. Document everything that raises flags. But for now, we play along." The next few weeks saw a flurry of diplomatic activity. The Concordat established an embassy on Earth, and humanity was officially welcomed as a developmental member of the galactic community. Technology began flowing, but always with restrictions, always with limitations that the Concordat claimed were for Earth's own protection. Behind closed doors, Sarah met with Earth's Security Council. "They're holding back," she reported, standing before the assembled leaders. "The technology they're sharing, it's carefully curated. And I've noticed their representatives studying our military installations with too much interest." Admiral James Wong, head of Earth's Space Force, leaned forward. "Captain Chen, are you suggesting we shouldn't trust our new alien friends?" "I'm suggesting, sir, that we should prepare for all possibilities." Sarah activated a holographic display showing analysis of Concordat technology. "Their gifts all have one thing in common. They're designed to make us dependent on their support systems. We need to develop our own technologies in parallel secretly." The Security Council debated through the night. By morning, they had authorized Project Shadow, a classified initiative to develop independent human technology while maintaining the appearance of grateful compliance with Concordat restrictions. As Sarah left the council chambers, she paused to watch the sunrise. A Concordat ship glided silently overhead, its crystalline form catching the morning light. "Beautiful," she thought, But beauty could hide danger. Humanity would accept the Concordat's friendship, but they would do so with open eyes and careful preparations. In her private quarters that evening, Sarah recorded in her personal log, "First contact day plus 30. The Concordat offers us the stars, but their generosity comes with golden chains. They underestimate us. They see what they expect to see. A young, naive species eager for advancement. They don't realize that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our military might. It's our ability to recognize patterns, to learn from history, to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. If the Concordat proves true, we'll have powerful allies. If not, well, humanity has survived worse. We didn't climb from the oceans to the stars by being helpless." The next day, as Sarah supervised the installation of Concordat communication systems on the Endeavour, she smiled politely at Ambassador Nexus, while encrypted messages about Project Shadow flowed through hidden quantum channels beneath their feet. The game had begun, and humanity would play it their way. 6 months after first contact, Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in her secure laboratory deep beneath the Atacama Desert, analyzing data that made her blood run cold. The holographic display before her showed the ruins of a civilization on a distant world, one that the Concordat had never mentioned in their extensive historical archives. "Cross-reference complete," announced the AI assistant. "Archaeological findings match pre-Concordat civilization patterns. Estimated time of disappearance, approximately 300 years ago." Elena sent a priority message to Captain Chen, who had been promoted to oversee Earth's diplomatic relations with the Concordat. Within hours, Sarah arrived through the secure underground transport system. "Show me everything," Sarah commanded, her expression grim. Elena gestured, and the lab filled with holographic images. We'd found evidence of 17 civilizations that achieved spaceflight capability before mysteriously vanishing. The Concordat's official history mentions none of them. But look at this. She highlighted a series of technological signatures. They all show the same pattern: rapid advancement, then sudden technological regression, followed by complete collapse. Sarah studied the data, her mind racing. And the timing. Each collapse coincides with their first contact with the Concordat. Elena pulled up another display. But here's where it gets interesting. Our deep space probes detected quantum signatures around these worlds, signatures that match Concordat monitoring technology. The implications were clear. The Concordat wasn't just observing developing civilizations, they were actively suppressing them. But why? Meanwhile, in orbit around Jupiter, Commander David Chin supervised the construction of what appeared to be a simple mining facility. In reality, Project Shadow's largest installation was taking shape inside the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere, hidden from Concordat sensors by sophisticated quantum masking technology developed in secret. Status report. Sarah's encrypted hologram appeared in David's office. "Phase 1 is ahead of schedule," he reported. "The quantum forge is operational. We've successfully replicated and improved upon 3 key Concordat technologies without their knowledge." Sarah nodded. Elena's found something. The Concordat's history of peaceful cooperation might be a carefully constructed lie. "I'm not surprised," David replied. "Their educational advisors keep pushing us toward specific technological paths while discouraging others. It's too systematic to be coincidence." On Earth, the public face of human-Concordat relations remained positive. Concordat technology had helped solve environmental crises, and their medical knowledge had extended human lifespans. But in secret facilities across the solar system, humanity prepared for a betrayal they increasingly believed was inevitable. Dr. Marcus Wong, head of Project Shadow's Theoretical Physics Division, made a breakthrough that would change everything. His team had been studying the fundamental principles behind Concordat FTL technology when they discovered something extraordinary. "The Concordat's approach is needlessly complex," he explained to Sarah during a secure briefing. "They've built deliberate inefficiencies into their systems, inefficiencies that create dependencies on their infrastructure. But we found a simpler way. Sarah leaned forward. How much simpler? Marcus smiled. At least an order of magnitude more efficient, and completely independent of their network. We could build ships that would outperform anything in their fleet. But before they could fully develop this technology, a disturbing incident occurred. A Concordat inspection team requested access to a peripheral research facility. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, one of the facility's scientists, noticed something odd about their scanning equipment. "Captain," she reported to Sarah through a quantum-encrypted channel, "their scanners weren't just checking for prohibited technology. They were probing for signs of independent innovation. They're specifically looking for evidence that we might be developing technologies outside their approved pathways." Sarah immediately ordered an acceleration of Project Shadow's timeline. If the Concordat was actively searching for signs of independent human technological development, time might be running out. In her private quarters that night, Sarah reviewed the growing mountain of evidence. The Concordat's behavior pattern was becoming clear. They didn't just guide developing civilizations. They deliberately stunted their growth, keeping them dependent and controllable. But humanity had done something none of their previous victims had managed. They'd recognized the threat early and prepared accordingly. Every piece of Concordat technology implemented on Earth had been carefully isolated and analyzed. Every gift had been reverse-engineered and improved upon in secret facilities. The question wasn't if the Concordat would betray them, but when. And when that moment came, humanity would be ready with technologies that would shock their would-be oppressors. As Sarah prepared for bed, a priority alert flashed across her secure terminal. Deep space sensors had detected unusual movements in the Concordat fleet. Multiple ships were gathering at strategic points just beyond the solar system's edge, their positions consistent with military deployment patterns. "Maybe they've noticed more than we thought," Sarah murmured, sending out encoded activation signals to Project Shadow facilities across the solar system. The next few weeks would determine whether humanity's preparations had been enough. The game of deception was approaching its endgame, and the stakes were nothing less than humanity's future among the stars. The attack began with a smile. Ambassador Nexus stood before the United Earth Council, his silvery skin gleaming under the chamber lights as he announced that the Concordat had voted to grant humanity full membership status. The council chamber erupted in applause, all except Sarah Chen, who noticed the subtle signal she'd been dreading on her quantum-encrypted communicator. Massive energy signatures approaching from multiple vectors. Distinguished representatives of Earth, Nexus continued, his multifaceted eyes scanning the room. "As new members, you'll need to accept certain security protocols. Our ships will be assuming protective positions around your major population centers." Sarah's hand moved to the small device concealed in her uniform pocket. A single press would activate humanity's contingency plans. She waited, watching Nexus carefully. "Of course, this will require the temporary deactivation of your defensive systems, for integration purposes only." Nexus's smile widened fractionally. "I'm sure you understand." Sarah pressed the button. Across the solar system, hidden facilities sprang to life. Deep within Jupiter's atmosphere, Commander David Chen watched as massive shipyards emerged from their quantum shadows, revealing vessels of a design the Concordat had never seen. Beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Elena Rodriguez initiated the activation sequence for Earth's true defensive grid, developed in secret alongside the decoy system the Concordat had been monitoring. In orbit, the first Concordat ships began firing on Earth's apparent defense stations. Their weapons tore through the outdated technology with ease, exactly as humanity had planned. The Concordat commanders, watching their targeting displays, never noticed the quantum interference patterns building around their vessels. "A valiant but futile gesture," Nexus said, as reports of Earth's defensive grid collapsing reached the council chamber. "Your species shows such promise, but you're not ready for true independence. Under our direct guidance, I think," Sarah interrupted, standing slowly, "you'll find we've learned more from you than you intended." The chamber's holographic displays suddenly shifted, showing real-time footage from across the solar system. Massive ships emerged from Jupiter's clouds, their hulls incorporating technology far beyond what the Concordat had shared. From beneath Mars's surface, defense platforms of human design rose on quantum drive pillars. Around Earth itself, the true defense grid shimmered into visibility, its energy readings dwarfing anything the Concordat had detected before. Nexus's composed facade cracked. Impossible. Your technology level was exactly what we wanted you to see. Dr. Marcus Wong's voice came through the chamber speakers. While you were measuring our apparent progress against your carefully planned benchmarks, we were learning from your every move, analyzing, improving, creating something new. The Concordat fleet found itself surrounded. Their weapons, designed to overwhelm the primitive defenses they detected, barely scratched the quantum-hardened shields of Earth's true warships. And humanity's weapons, evolved far beyond the Concordat's restricted technology, cut through their attackers' defenses like light through crystal. You see, Ambassador, Sarah continued, as reports of Concordat ships surrendering began flowing in. Humanity has a long history of dealing with those who offer friendship while planning conquest. We've learned to prepare for betrayal while hoping for peace. Your mistake was thinking we would blindly trust. In space, the battle was already ending. Humanity's ships, incorporating improvements to Concordat technology that their creators had never imagined possible, systematically disabled the invasion fleet. The quantum forge networks hidden throughout the solar system had allowed Earth to build and conceal enough firepower to match the entire Concordat military. This is impossible, Nexus whispered, his silvery skin dulling with shock. No species has ever, you couldn't have, developed beyond your controlled progression. Sarah smiled grimly. You assumed we would follow the same patterns as other species you've suppressed. But humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to learn from history, to prepare for the worst while working for the best. As the last Concordat ship surrendered, Sarah turned to face the United Earth Council. We've prepared for this moment for years. Every piece of technology the Concordat shared was analyzed, improved, and incorporated into our own designs. Every restriction they placed on us became a challenge to overcome. Every system they built to control us became a template for something better. The chamber's displays showed the full extent of humanity's preparation. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, quantum research facilities beneath every major colony, and defensive systems that had been masked by elaborate deception networks. The age of Concordat suppression ends today, Sarah announced, as much to the captured Concordat forces as to humanity's leaders. Not through brutal conquest, but through the failure of deception. We'll offer your people the same choice you pretended to offer us. True cooperation, true exchange of knowledge, true partnership, but this time, without the lies. As Nexus was led away by security forces, Sarah received another message on her quantum communicator. Deep space sensors had detected more Concordat fleets approaching, likely a second wave of their invasion force. But this time, they would find a very different humanity waiting for them. Alarms blared throughout the Jupiter shipyards as the second wave of Concordat forces emerged from hyperspace. But unlike the first wave, these ships were different. Larger, more heavily armed, clearly designed for full-scale warfare rather than the swift subjugation the Concordat had originally planned. Commander David Chen watched the tactical display with calculated calm. They've committed their actual war fleet, he transmitted to Sarah. Looks like we got under their skin. Good, Sarah replied from Earth Command. That means they're not thinking clearly. Initiate Operation Phoenix. Across the solar system, humanity's true technological revolution revealed itself. The quantum forge networks that had been running at minimal power suddenly surged to full capacity. Energy readings that had been carefully masked for years burst into visibility, causing Concordat sensors to overload. Dr. Marcus Wong stood at his control station in the Titan facility, directing the power surge. Quantum conversion matrix at full capacity, he reported. ready to demonstrate what humanity can really do when we stop playing nice. The approaching Concordat fleet launched their first volley, a devastating barrage of energy weapons that would have annihilated their previous victims. But as the beams approached Earth's defense grid, something unprecedented happened. The energy weapons didn't impact shields. They simply ceased to exist. Energy conversion successful, Dr. Yuki Tanaka announced from her station. Their weapons are feeding directly into our power grid. The more they fire, the stronger we become. This was humanity's greatest breakthrough. Technology that didn't just resist energy weapons, but converted them into usable power. Every shot the Concordat fired literally made Earth's defenses stronger. The Concordat commanders noticed too late. Their fleet's energy readings began to fluctuate as quantum fields of human design enveloped their ships. Weapons systems failed. Engines sputtered. Communications dissolved into quantum static. Attention Concordat forces, Sarah's voice transmitted across all frequencies. Your weapons are now powering our defenses. Your engines are being systematically disabled. You have a choice. Power down and accept surrender terms, or maintain hostilities and be stranded in space when your systems fail. On the command ship of the Concordat fleet, High Admiral Zextal watched in horror as his mighty armada was systematically neutralized without a single shot fired in return. How? He demanded. How could they have advanced so far beyond our controls? The answer came from an unexpected source, his own science officer, who had been analyzing the human technology. Sir, the officer reported, voice trembling, they didn't just improve our technology. They fundamentally reimagined it. Everything we thought we knew about quantum mechanics, they took in a completely different direction. Across the solar system, human ships moved into position around the disabled Concordat fleet. But these weren't warships. They were humanitarian vessels, ready to assist crews whose life support systems were failing as their power cores shut down. This is how humanity fights, Sarah transmitted to the Concordat commanders. We didn't develop weapons to destroy you. We developed technology to render your weapons useless, then offered help to your stranded crews. Because unlike you, we don't believe advancement comes through suppression. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, watching from her research station, couldn't help but smile. The quantum transformation fields were working perfectly, not destroying Concordat technology, but transforming it, showing them possibilities they had never imagined. Ready for Phase 2, she reported to Sarah. The quantum education protocols are prepared. This was the true heart of Operation Phoenix, not just defeating the Concordat, but showing them a better way. As human rescue ships docked with the powerless Concordat vessels, they brought not just life support, but knowledge. Unrestricted access to human scientific databases, showing how Earth had taken their restricted technology in revolutionary new directions. Your civilization has spent centuries suppressing others, Sarah transmitted to the surrendering fleet. We're offering you the chance to grow instead, to learn, to see what's possible when you stop fearing advancement and start embracing it. The response came slowly, but it came. One by one, Concordat ships powered down voluntarily. Their crews, facing a choice between stagnation and true advancement, chose to learn. In her command center, Sarah watched as the situation displays shifted from red to green. Operation Phoenix wasn't just a military victory. It was a fundamental change in how civilizations could interact. Humanity had proved that true strength didn't come from suppressing others, but from innovation, preparation, and the willingness to share knowledge rather than hoard it. As the last Concordat ship surrendered, David transmitted from Jupiter. Think they've learned their lesson. Sarah looked at the data streaming in. Concordat crews already eagerly studying the human scientific databases, amazed by possibilities they had never considered. They're learning a different lesson than they expected, she replied. And that's exactly what we hoped for. 1 year after Operation Phoenix, the Grand Chamber of the new Galactic Assembly on Mars buzzed with activity. Representatives from over 50 species, including formerly suppressed civilizations liberated from Concordat control, gathered to sign the Terran Accords. Sarah Chen, now Earth's senior ambassador, stood at the podium, looking out over an audience that represented a fundamental shift in galactic civilization. "We gather here not to celebrate a victory," she began, "but to mark the beginning of true cooperation. The old Concordat believed advancement had to be controlled. Today, we proved them wrong." Dr. Elena Rodriguez, seated among Earth's delegation, watched as former Concordat scientists presented their latest discoveries, breakthrough technologies developed through unrestricted collaboration with human researchers. The quantum transformation fields that had once disabled their ships had literally transformed their understanding of physics. "The results speak for themselves," reported Dr. Kexfel, formerly a restricted Concordat researcher. "In 1 year of open exchange, we've made more progress than in a century of controlled development. Humanity showed us that innovation flourishes in freedom, not constraint." Across the solar system and beyond, the changes were visible. The quantum forge networks, once hidden, now served as educational centers where species from across the galaxy came to learn and contribute. The technology that had defended Earth now powered a new era of exploration and discovery. Commander David Chen, overseeing the transformation of the Jupiter shipyards into an interstellar research facility, received constant requests from former Concordat worlds eager to participate in joint development projects. They're like children discovering that the walls they thought were protecting them were actually prison bars, he commented to Sarah during a break in the proceedings. But the most profound changes were cultural. Dr. Marcus Wong had developed a quantum archive system that allowed direct sharing of scientific knowledge across species, breaking down the barriers that had kept civilizations isolated and dependent on Concordat control. "We're seeing exponential growth and cross-species innovation," he reported to the assembly. "Technologies that took centuries to develop under restriction are being revolutionized in months through open collaboration." The former Concordat worlds, freed from artificial restrictions, were advancing rapidly. But more importantly, they were advancing responsibly, learning from humanity's example of preparation and careful development. Sarah took special pride in the Liberation Initiative, a program she had personally championed. Teams of human and reformed Concordat scientists traveled to suppressed worlds, sharing technology and knowledge that had been denied to them. The results were transformative. On New Haven, Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, referring to a formerly restricted colony, "They've already adapted our quantum transformation fields into a planetary defense system more advanced than anything we envisioned." That's the power of unrestricted innovation. The Assembly's final act was to establish the Galactic Scientific Council, not a governing body like the old Concordat, but a collaborative network dedicated to sharing knowledge and ensuring that no civilization would ever again be artificially suppressed. As Sarah signed the final protocols, she reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had fundamentally changed the galaxy's approach to technological and social development. "The stars were never meant to be handed down to us like gifts from above," she told the assembly in her closing remarks. "They were meant to be reached for, struggled toward, achieved through our own efforts. The greatest gift we can give any civilization is not protection or guidance, but the freedom to find their own way there." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Species after species came forward to sign the accords, pledging themselves not to a hierarchy of control but to a network.